There is a growing concern by environmentalists about the increasing number of nurdles in our coastlines, especially here in KwaZulu-Natal. These are little pellets of plastic that is used to make any kind of plastic here in the country, and they're transported from one country to another. But with us now is Varsha Mudli from Samra, who will tell us more about how these little pellets get to our ocean and the cause or the harm it does to our ecosystem. Varsha, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
There is a growing concern about these little pellets that you have in your hand. What are they actually for someone who doesn't know, who's sitting there at home?
Sure. So anything that's made out of plastic started off looking like this, and we have different types of plastics. So they all started off as a little pellet, and the pellets get sent to the manufacturing plants and then will get melted down, colors will be added to them, and then they become the products that we recognize. So think of anything that was plastic in your house, it started off looking like a little pellet.
And how do they get to our oceans?
So they have to be transported across the world, as you mentioned, and taken to different manufacturing plants. And in that transportation phase, a lot of the time they can get lost, they can be spills, and then when they get to the manufacturing plants themselves, often sometimes they will be lost and then swept down the drain into the waterways, and then, as we know, all our waterways eventually lead to the ocean.
But looking at your pellets, they're so tiny, they're so little. For someone who doesn't know, for me personally, I wouldn't think that they would cause any harm to the ecosystem. We have a concern about plastic going into our ocean. But what is the main concern about these little pellets?
So because these pellets are small, it's really hard to find them when you're on the beach. It's very difficult to find them in the water. But the biggest concern is the animals in the ocean have no idea what plastic is. So they see something that looks like it might be their food, and they're going to eat it. And who ends up eating the most seafood on the planet? It's humans. So the pellets are actually doing a lot of damage to humans potentially, because those plastic pellets are being ingested by animals that we end up putting on our plate.
Are they poisonous?
They can attract a lot of toxins when they spend time out in the sea. There are lots of pollutants in the ocean, as we know, and these little plastic pieces attract them and can build up a level of toxicity over time. So they can be dangerous, yes.
I understand that there was a beach cleanup a week ago. Did you collect any pellets, the amount of pellets that you've collected, and how many, or the amount that is very concerning to you guys? How huge is the problem?
So we did have International Coastal Cleanup here at Sheffield Beach on Saturday, the 16th of September. We had over 200 people come to clean with us. Out of those 200, we had maybe 20 people collecting nurdles, and we collected, I would say, close to 1 kilogram of nurdles. And to give you some context, 100 of these nurdles weighs only 2.8 grams. So 1 kg of nurdles is a lot of nurdles. We haven't done all the maths yet, so there will be more nurdles to count, but a lot of other big pieces of plastic were found. And it's about creating awareness about the fact that when we go to the beach, a lot of litter is hidden under the sand, and it's not that difficult for us to just pick up an extra 2 or 3 pieces of litter, make sure all our litter is put into a bin, and especially on a windy day like today, make sure the bin has a lid so nothing flies out of the bin, and that it actually goes to the landfill or goes to a recycling center. And it is a huge concern for us because plastic is a part of our lives, and we actually need to be aware of the fact that plastic can have detrimental effects on the environment, and we depend on the environment for a lot of things. We rely on it for food, a space to be recreational. We rely on the ocean for oxygen. Half of our oxygen comes from the ocean, and a lot of people don't realize when we harm the planet, we end up harming ourselves in the long run.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
That was Varsha Mudli from Samra here at Ushaga Marine World, telling us about the harm that these little pellets does to the ecosystem, or rather the marine life. And when the fish eat these pellets, they can't digest them, and in turn that we as humans also eat the fish who eat these pellets, and it's a whole cycle of the ecosystem that can also affect us. And the pellets apparently are increasing year by year because there's a huge demand of plastic, because humans want to use plastic, and the transportation of these pellets, some other organizations were calling for the regulation of these pellets so that they can be more regulated and that they cannot spill in our oceans.